we are going to talk all about condos. What you need to know before you buy a condo. You could just think of this as like the condo master class, where we just have all of the notes for you guys. We're going to just break down all the important things that you might not know if you're a first-time condo buyer. So be sure to stay tuned until the end. You won't want to miss anything today.
Condo sales are so fun. I mean, when you get into transactions with a condo or a purchaser entering a condo, like, where does your mindset go, you think? Like, are you excited for this deal? Are you worried about all the extra things maybe you're unfamiliar with versus
like
a residential sale?
Forms and stuff.
Like, where's your mindset as a real estate broker?
I love showing condos. Personally, I think they're fun to show. I love I love showing a lot of different types of real estate, but I just think condos, especially when they're in areas that we aren't, just thinking of one condo unit in particular, and it's just an area that we don't frequent too often, and to me that's exciting and it's fun. And we have condos. We're local to Salem. We're in the Salem, Oregon area. And
office address is in Portland, though.
Yes, our office address is in Portland, but we live in Salem personally. We work all around the area, and there's very different, the type of condos that are in Salem are very different than the type that are in Portland.
Right.
And even in surrounding towns, like I'm just thinking like Milwaukee, Clackamas, Happy Valley, Gresham, like all these towns on the outskirts. And I love when I get to show condos in that area just because they're different than the condos that we usually see here in Salem.
I love you brought up that point, though, as to like when I asked about mindset or, what do you think of? You think of like it's different. And it truly is, because here's the deal. Residential homes, they could get boring. Like the new constructions, like a lot of people are just mimicking one after another, doing these standard builds. I mean, these D.R. Horton homes, they come in packages and there's really no customizations to them. Nothing wrong with that. They're affordable. But when we get into the condo category, like there's just different floor plans and layouts, and then buildings are always different. I mean, maybe your HOA just includes this amazing amenity that is just worth it for you and your lifestyle. Yeah. So that's what makes real estate exciting for me, especially when I am dealing with the condos. Yeah. A condo sale, it's just interesting too, because we're always learning. And every HOA, I would say, is different in its own way.
It's very true, which that is something we'll get into as well. But one thing I love about condos is that they're all so different. You might imagine maybe you've only seen one type of condo, but they're not all the same. There's so many different types of condos and condo communities. And like I said, we'll get into that. But that's one thing I love is the diversity. It's not just the condo that you might think of that looks kind of like an apartment building. Yeah. It's not just like that. There's so many different kinds. One of my favorite communities, I think it's in Kaiser. They have
the waterfront area.
Yes, beautiful condos, and they're on this little.
It's unique.
What is it?
It's its own self-made lake.
So I don't. Yeah, it's
a self-made lake.
It's a self-made lake, but it's really beautiful, and they're luxury, and they're like single story. A lot of 55 and over people live there, and they're just gorgeous. And and they don't feel like condos. It looks like a residential home. So there's so many different types of condos. So let's just start with the basics. If you're a first-time condo buyer, you want to be a first-time condo buyer, you don't know much about them. So condo is short for condominium. It is a single unit within a multi-unit property, typically an apartment-style building or townhomes, though they can be freestanding homes as well. It can be one of many units in a shared structure like a high-rise building, or it can be in a much smaller walk-up building with 2 or 3 units. If you are thinking about buying a condo, it's important to understand what your purchase includes. No matter how big the building or property is, you can't own your individual unit. You own your individual unit. Sorry, you can't. You do own your individual unit. A condo owner has the title to their individual unit, but they share ownership of the common areas. And that'll look different. Can you repeat
that last sentence?
Yes. A condo owner has the title to their individual unit, but shares ownership of the common areas.
I think this is something to kind of focus on briefly, because I don't think a lot of people understand that. I know I personally didn't even understand that when we bought a condo/townhouse, probably 3-4 years ago now. You don't really own the land underneath. And it's a very weird thing because you pay property taxes on that. I mean, and it's similar to a residential home's value and property taxes. And you're always like, why am I paying property tax if I don't even own this land technically? But it is your land. So there's this HOA meaning to your condo side of the agreement of things. So make sure you do some due diligence in that period. And if you're just not comfortable with that, then, you got to walk, and maybe condos aren't for you. But that is something I don't feel like a lot of people do know. Yeah. You own the land, but you don't. You don't have the, I guess, what's the word I'm trying to think of? You don't have the luxury of building a shop in your backyard or putting a shed.
I usually don't have.
I'm just saying, a shed, or you Fixing always have to go through approval from your HOA.
Yeah, like if your front door, for example, if you want it to be like pink, it probably can't be. Maybe in some homeowners associations, but none that I've ever seen.
Right.
You gotta look, which to some people that is a positive because you like just simple. It looks, everything's gonna be nice. It helps with the resale value. Your neighbor's not gonna go paint their door pink. So some people like that. But also another thing that I think is really a pro of a condo or purchasing a condo is it is a great way to get into real estate, because I think a lot of people they think of condos and they think this like luxury high rise that's $1 million. But there are so many condos, especially in our area and surrounding areas, that are way more affordable than a single family home, or even a town that you could find for a townhome. You can buy a condo for so much less. And so say you're just not pre-qualified for much. The average price point where we're at is in Salem specifically about $435,000 right now. And so maybe you're only pre-qualified for $300,000. It's going to be real hard to find a house for $300,000, but maybe you could find a condo and just get your foot in the door in real estate. You own something, you're building equity. You can sell it later. You can do improvements to the inside. You own it. Just because you can't maybe change the front door doesn't mean, you still own it. It's yours. You can paint the walls. You can replace the carpet. That's up to you what you want to do. And so that's the beauty that I think of condos is it's a great way. I would 100%, if I was, say, when we bought our first house, it was how much was it?
$250,000.
Which there are no houses where we're at for $250,000. Right? What was that?
We're talking the condo.
No,
right?
the house. Well,
the house.
It was 220.
225.
Yeah. So our very first property we ever purchased was a house for $225,000. Now you can't buy a teardown for that price in our area, at least anymore. But if it was right now and I was that age again, or even now, and I was only pre-qualified for $225,000. I would look for a condo instead of just saying, well, I'm going to wait a couple years and then I'll rent, because if you buy that condo, you're building equity, you're sheltering income, you have something to show for and to sell once you're ready, and that can help you buy that next house and get re-qualified for more instead of just renting and paying someone else's mortgage. So
yeah, there's so many points into home ownership. I was just on the phone with one of my really good friends from high school. He's actually an insurance agent now, so I reached out to him and changed insurers because why not support some local business? But his problem was, rent was just killing him, and I'm sure that's like you guys all across the nation. Is rent is so astronomically high, but it's aligned with mortgage rates. But it's even higher than mortgage rates right now. Yeah. I was talking to my lender just last week as well. And I'm like, Vince, what are people paying on average nationwide with a monthly mortgage? And he said, man, they're up to $3,000, $3,200. Yeah. And I look at my mortgage and I'm just like, how are people doing this? Is this a different world I'm from or living in? It really is just in a matter of 2 years. That's something to really consider.
Because the average mortgage 2 years ago was not that high.
It's something to really consider when you're talking about home ownership and why it's so important to maybe look into purchasing not really anything a property, because if it's a tear down, you're going to put money into it. If it's got a bad foundation because you jumped into a deal and you didn't know, well, that's going to cost you some money. So you really can go wrong in a real estate deal. But the reality is, if you're associated and assisted by a good agent like ourselves, Mariah and I, get to toot our own horn a little bit, is we are going to help you with the buying process, the due diligence period. I mean, we're not going to tell you to buy or sell. That's obviously your choice, but we're setting you up with the best qualified team to get you to the closing table, of course, but make sure you're satisfied with your purchase.
Yeah.
I mean, in all these real estate transactions we do, it's so important to have these real satisfied clients. We used to send out surveys with real satisfied for a reason. That service industry we talk about, we want to make sure you guys are very, very, very happy with all of your purchases and familiar with the transaction process, with us guiding you along the way.
Quick plug that brings up before we get on to the rest of the content. I'm just going to throw this in there. So if you're listening to this video, because on this channel, Real Estate with Mariah and Spenc, we really like to sit down and just talk about everything regarding real estate, what we learned as realtors on a national level. Basically, it's not just local to our area. So if you're watching this and you're in another state or country and you're thinking about buying or selling, but you're not moving to Oregon, contact us and we would love to set you up with a solid realtor where you're at.
Can I give an example of what you're talking about?
And if you are in Oregon, by the way, we do have a local channel as well. Not that you can't watch this too, but we do have a local channel talking all about real estate just in our area, Oregon Homes with Mariah Vetrus Crawford. So check that out too.
Definitely go subscribe to that. Oregon Homes with Mariah Crawford. Well, my example, if you guys are out of state and you're viewing this and you kind of didn't understand what Mariah just said, for instance, I'm on the phone with somebody yesterday and they're wanting to move to Kansas, somewhere in Wichita, Kansas. So what do? I get on my workplace and I associate with other brokers in a Kansas real estate group. Well, we are connected nationwide, just like Mariah said, with hundreds and thousands of other agents, whether it's on YouTube or a different service source.
Yeah.
And we will connect you with the most qualified agent in the surrounding area you're looking to purchase in if it's in another state.
Yeah.
So that's a quick example as to how we can bring a service to you and bring value to you, because a lot of you guys are in the same boat. You don't really know what the next step is, and that is our process. We need to help you and guide you.
Yeah. If you want to reach us, inquire through our website or shoot us an email. I will put our contact below. So moving on. So if you are buying a condo, obviously you're going to want to consider, this is kind of a given, if you're willing to share a wall with your neighbors long term, that's a factor. Again,
let's talk about the walls though.
What do you mean?
They're firewalls.
Well, yes. And from what I found, okay, so we did a whole show on this channel, Real Estate with Mariah and Spenc, all about townhomes. So if you want to know about townhomes, we broke it down, everything you need to know before buying a townhome. So if you want to learn about those specifically, maybe you're like, do I buy a condo? Do I buy a townhome? If you want to know about both, go to our channel and check out that video. It wasn't too long ago we did that. But wow, I can't talk. I'm like all over the place. From our experience, we lived in a townhome. We've never lived in a condo. They're similar, but they're different. And in our townhome, they had firewalls, which meant that they were very soundproof. We never heard our neighbors. There was a baby crying right next to us on the other side of the wall. Never knew it. We blasted our music. They didn't care. So like it wasn't a big deal. And I'm assuming, I want to say every condo building is going to be built differently, but that is something I would ask your realtor if you could find out more information on and look into is, are there firewalls? I would say nowadays, most places have them. I believe
with building codes, it's required.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But here's the deal. Everybody has a due diligence period. Everybody gets an inspection period.
Yeah.
If you're unsure about that, but you just love the area, you don't want to miss out on the home, but you are concerned about, hearing your neighbor, here's a good idea. Neighbor, knock on their door.
That's a great idea.
Hey guys, what do you think about this area? I'm looking at purchasing this condo. My name's so-and-so. Have you guys had any problems here? Talk to the neighbor about the surrounding area. They give out more information than you will ever hear. Now, you have to learn how to take the information given to you and then discern it and say what's logical, what's not logical. You could be dealing with a renter that just,
Let me just say real quick, you got to be careful. I would say instead of asking the neighbor, maybe have your realtor ask the neighbor. One time because this is why. You don't want them to know who's going to be buying the property because that could vary how they answer. One time I was showing
that's true.
Condo, and it was a type of condo where there was a shared wall, but there was no there was how am I saying it? It kind of was more like a townhouse. And but there were like multiple units together, and there was no one above you or below you, is what I'm trying to say, just the wall next to you. And the guy that I was showing it to, he had like 5-6 young kids, loud, rowdy in the showing, whatever. It was fun. I mean, I didn't care, but the lady next door heard and saw, and she came out, and he started asking her questions, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I knew, because I had confirmed with the listing agent of it, that I knew that she was lying about I can't remember what it was, but I know I confirmed it first, and she was lying. And it really seemed to me like it was because she didn't want this family to buy that unit, because she didn't want all these kids right next door to her. So maybe have your realtor ask.
I could totally see that happen. People can get schemy, and it's a little strange when people do that, because I mean, maybe she's lived there for 10 years, doesn't like change, sees some kids, she's like, oh, it's so peaceful. There
might be some legal things as well with you. I don't know exactly. There might be some legal things with like your realtor. I know if you're in a transaction, you can't talk to your realtors to do all of the talking. But
I like that point though. Let your represented agent help you out and ask all the questions for you. Now, if you don't trust your agent, that's a different story. I really hope we're trustworthy enough to give you the correct information about the condo or questions you have.
Yeah, that's the first tip. Find an agent you trust, because that is everything.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Okay. You're going to want to find out before you buy a condo what amenities the condo includes. And then, of course, you're going to want to know. I tell my condo hunting instead of clients, I always say I want to figure out and let you know the HOA fees before we even set up a showing, because a lot of times that's a deal breaker. HOA fees are something that can really vary between smaller amounts to really large amounts, and so it's going to obviously affect your monthly payment. And I've seen it where the HOA fee just makes the condo not an option. It's too affordable. So I always want my buyers to know the HOA fee before we waste anyone's time with a showing. And then, of course, find out what amenities. That's something about condos, is that a lot of them, they are all different. Like I said, none of them are identical. They can feel down to earth and suburban with access to private yards or community lawns, or they can have, high-rise views in the center of a city. And some condo buildings are going to have outdoor space, pools, different things that, might fit. Golf courses might fit with your lifestyle. So finding out what amenities, if any, a lot of them don't offer any of those things upfront, is really important. Consider the costs. Sorry, I just kept talking.
Oh no, you're fine. I had nothing to add.
Okay,
if I want to talk, I always talk. Don't worry. I got you, Ryan.
Oh, okay. Consider the cost of special assessments. Buying a condo to avoid paying a handyman at home could be a good idea, but also while maintenance and upkeep tasks might be regulated and carried out by a condo's management team, tenants may still be on the hook for covering those costs. Special assessments are added fees condo owners can face when a building's roof collapses, pipes burst, or the parking lot falls into disrepair. They are hopefully not routine, but a potential financial factor to consider. I would just say, know who the management is. Make sure it's a solid, good management company taking care of things, paying what they're supposed to pay, paying for things as they're supposed to pay for them. And just, you want to make sure it's just not run down and falling apart.
Right. That's really important. And when I have entered real estate contracts and sales, I mean, there are some condo communities that just, their HOA is in bad shape, meaning the funds in the reserve accounts, they don't have any. Maybe they have $5-8 grand. But like you said, it's these big items that when you need money, it matters. Pipes, roofs, gutters, yard maintenance, exterior stuff. Yeah. I mean,
especially the big things like when everyone needs new siding all of a sudden.
Like 20 years, these items last. But after that 20-year period, especially if you're living in an older condo community, you just want to make sure that your HOA's in decent shape when it comes to funds. And if they're not in a decent shape, but you still really want the home and you just have belief that it's going to be okay, make sure you're connecting and getting connected with the management team, whether it's community run or a real HOA management company. Just be aware of things going on, and even maybe try and attend a meeting if there's an upcoming HOA meeting, and get all your questions answered. Raise your hand, sit in the back, and
that's a great idea.
Be a fly on the wall. I recommend doing that if you are allowed in these HOA meetings.
Yeah. Before you make an offer on a condo, you want to make sure that you have read the rules and regulations that the homeowners association has in place. Some condo buildings, or I guess I should say some homeowner associations that are in charge of these buildings, or just condo units or communities or whatever, some of them are going to have more restrictions than others. I have never seen any that I'm like, I could never live with that. Generally, like I said, my mindset's generally more on the, oh, this helps me. Like, this is helping my value. Like, I want that. I sold a condo in Portland. The last condo I sold was in Portland, I believe. And so the parking lot was it was like probably the worst side of town. I feel like Portland kind of gets a bad rap just from the news. I promise it's not all like this. We go there often, and there's some really great, nice sides of town. But this is like the worst possible side of town this condo was on. And the parking lot has shopping carts, and just like tents, like homeless camp in the parking lot. Not a good side of town. And it's like the homeowner association isn't taking care of this. I would rather have a place with like more rules and like a strict HOA than one that's just like not really doing anything, doesn't care, because it helps your resale value. Right. You know, if your neighbors are allowed to like leave trash on their balcony or something, I don't know if that's even a rule, but like, you know what I'm saying?
People that manage that.
I'd rather them not have to be able to leave trash on their balcony. Like, I want that. So I would know those first, though.
I look at it as a way to protect your investment.
Yeah. And if you're worried, if you're concerned, if you're like, I don't know if I want a homeowners association, do some research on the homeowners association itself. You should be able to find them online. Some of them are kind of hard to find, though. Yeah. I found some of them are very hard to find.
A lot of times you're going to enter in the real estate transaction and do all this work in your due diligence period.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Okay. So what makes a condo unique, and who do we usually see purchasing condos? Who might it be a good idea for? I feel like we already, to buy a condo versus like another type of real estate, I feel like we already kind of covered this.
No, let's answer this one though. What? Who do you see generally purchasing condos?
Well,
let's recap that.
I see a wide variety. I've worked with downsizers who were, living that retired lifestyle and wanted something that was low maintenance and a lower payment, and they just didn't need all this room anymore, easier to clean, that type of thing. I've definitely worked with a lot of people in that situation. I've worked with different type of condo first-time buyers who were priced out of the market, and that's really all that they could afford was a older, simple, small condo, but they wanted to buy something. Right. I've worked with, I've seen a lot of like young single women who want to buy real estate, purchase a condo. You don't have to worry about so many things that, like replacing the roof, replacing the siding. Like if you don't want to deal with that, you just want a place that you own, it's turnkey. Maybe you're in a season of your life where you work a lot, kind of like we were when we bought, when we chose to buy a townhouse for the low maintenance, then I think it would be a really great option for you.
And on another perspective, I deal with a lot of clients that are usually in that retirement age and want single story living. That's a big priority that I see a lot of my condo purchasers wanting, is a single story, low maintenance, lower square footage. They're usually coming from a downsized home, so we get to help you sell your home and transition you into the condo on the buyer side as well. So that is the majority of people I've been working with as of late, is the, I would say, retired age, wanting single story, maintenance included at an affordable price. Because remember, you guys, our audience right now, you're viewing this video, you probably are sitting in a property you own. In sometimes you're wanting to sell that property because it's got amazing equity, especially over the last 5 to 8 years. Yeah. And we can help you get that home sold and then transition you into the purchasing side using the cash from all of your equity. And the reason why I really like that idea is because condos are less expensive than another residential purchase if the boot fits for you. And that's probably why you're viewing this video, is because you want to research why you should maybe purchase a condo.
And again, I'm just going to do a little recap on before we end. I know, like I said, I know this isn't our like local channel, but this probably applies to where you live as well. They probably have all these different type of condo options I'm going to share where you're at, unless maybe you live in a town of, 1,000 people. And then there's probably a nearby town in that case that has condos like these. That's not too far away. So for just in our specific area, the capital of Oregon, you can find luxury modern condos right downtown Salem. You can find 1970s built, extremely affordable condos that aren't going to be in like a condo building necessarily. You don't have anyone above you or below you, but there are condos on all sides of town, like North Salem, South Salem, West Salem, Kaiser, all over. You can find those. I feel like a lot of people aren't really aware of that because you just don't really notice them. You can find condos on golf courses. You can find condos on bodies of, little bodies of water. You can find condos that feel more suburban and kind of have more of like a residential home feel. So there are so many different types. It's not just the one type you might imagine in your mind. And that's all we have.
Yeah, we're happy to get you on with your condo purchase if that's you.
Okay, so if you watch this show all the way through, thank you so much for hanging out with us this week. Head over to our channel. We have a handful of playlists of different real estate tips that you might find value from. Share this video with a friend, and we'll see you next time.